Hello there everyone and welcome back to another Muunilinst mock update video, and in this video I'm going to be starting on the speeder bike. So it's a long awaited, very exciting episode. I'm going to be working on the Republic speeder bikes, so without any further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, so at long last we are here at the speeder bike charge episode. So this is going to be part one, and there's going to be a couple parts here. I ended up kind of thinking things over and decided to take this route. So this first episode is going to be about the Republic speeder bike. So we're going to be designing the Republic speeder bikes. I'm going to be kind of going through some design process and going to update you guys as I go along. And the next episode will be about me building the Separatist speeder bikes. So that's kind of the next two episodes, part one and part two. So for this episode, we're going to be building the Republic speeder bikes. Couple things I need to consider. One, I suck at building vehicles. Right off the bat, I hardly ever build vehicles, and I suck at them. So I've been really procrastinating on building the speeder bikes because I'm a little worried and scared about what I'm going to build, because I just am not very experienced in building vehicles. But that's part of the fun of these mock series, is going out of your comfort zone and trying to do something new and exciting. So that'll be fun. Second, I need to come up with a design that uses parts that I already have or are readily available on Bricklink for cheap prices. So essentially, since I'm going to be mass producing a lot of these speeder bikes, I'm going to be building multiples of them. I need to find pieces that are not super rare and are not super fragile. I've seen a lot of awesome speeder bike designs in the past, but a lot of the pieces they use are just ones that I'm not going to be able to build a lot of and build kind of structurally stable and kind of mass produce them for a large scale battle like this. So I need to use pieces that I have a lot of and that I'm going to be able to find on Bricklink and potentially order them if I need to find some more. So those are kind of two things I need to consider, and of course I want to make them accurate to the show, and I want to make them recognizable, but I also want to put my own spin on them, if that makes sense. I want to make them unique to this mock, but I want to make it so they still look like they're from the show. So a lot of things to consider. It's going to be kind of challenging. I'm a little worried, but I am excited to get started and try to come up with a design. And then of course you guys are here to help me in the comment section below to give me some updates and ideas and suggestions on how I can make the speeder bikes better. So this should be a pretty exciting episode, and without any further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, so first off here we've got the front of the speeder bike. This was the first thing that I was working on, kind of taking this build in sections. So we've got the front part, the middle part where the troopers actually sit, and then the back part, and those are kind of the three sections I'm kind of working from here. So first off, the front section, the big thing that I wanted to get right, and this is kind of going to be for the Separatist speeder bikes as well, are these things up front. And I have a couple other speeder bikes here, so like the Snow Trooper one from back in the day, this one right here. You'll notice one of the most iconic parts of speeder bikes kind of are these front sections right here, kind of like where these blasters would be on other speeder bikes. That's kind of one of the more iconic parts to me on speeder bikes. So I really wanted to make sure I worked on this front section. For both of the speeder bikes, they are angled down in the show, which is interesting. Both of them are angled down instead of a lot of the Lego sets and speeder bikes we've seen previously. These kind of front sections are straight. So I had to make sure to try to make this one angled down. So you can see if we face it front here, it's slightly angled down a little bit here. There's a better view of it. So I wanted to make sure to get that part right. I decided to go with light gray instead of dark gray. I think light gray and white color looks a little better together than dark gray and white. So I decided to go with that color palette for this one. So you'll see the inside parts are going to be light gray and the top is going to be white. Another thing on the front of these speeder bikes, in the show, the front of the speeder bike kind of is made to look like a clone helmet, which is obviously going to be hard to replicate in Lego. So I've tried my best here. Again, I'm not a very good vehicle builder. So what I've kind of done here is made the fin using one of these kind of slope pieces. So that's kind of the fin on the speeder bike, if you'll notice. And then the visor was going to be really hard to do, especially with the size of this speeder bike. So essentially what I did was I got a jumper plate right there, and I kind of attached it right underneath there, and that's supposed to be kind of the visor. And then due to how I did this part in here, there's not a ton of room, so I just put a stud right there, and that's kind of supposed to replicate the front of the speeder bike there. This is the front of the speeder bike. Probably doesn't look like much right now, but once I get to working on the rest of the vehicle, hopefully it'll start to come together. We'll see. So I'm going to go ahead and get back to work. All right, now we're on to the middle part of the speeder bike. To me, this was going to be very challenging for a few reasons. So you will notice I did end up going 2 studs wide on the speeder bike. One thing about these speeder bikes, and Lego kind of does this, it's kind of a cheat, on some of their old ones here. Maybe their newer ones are a little different. But on these older ones, these are kind of one whole piece. On the Endor speeder bikes and the Snow Trooper speeder bikes, the old ones, this is like one big printed piece right there, and you can slide the Clone Trooper in there, and their feet will fit pretty much perfectly down on the inside. The problem here is I'm not going to be using any big molded pieces like that. So the struggle is Clone Troopers, obviously they're 2 studs wide. So originally I went with a 3 stud wide speeder bike, and I realized that was way too big. Then I went to one kind of stud length speeder bike. That was too small, so I decided to go with 2. The only issue is when I put my Clone Trooper on here is he kind of sits like that. That obviously is not accurate at all. You notice on the speeder bikes there's kind of these little steps, and the throttles, or I guess the feet controls would be down here, and you'd press down on those. You see them all the time in the show. They're kind of sticking out on the side. Now the problem here is the Clone Trooper physically cannot reach that on the side unless I were to take off the legs, and I've seen people do this where you take off the legs of the Clone Trooper and spread them out a little bit, if that makes sense. But I don't really want to do that. I don't really like doing that with my clones and figures in general. I don't like taking the arms off or the legs off just long term. I don't really like doing it. So I'm going to have to go with this right here, and they're just going to have to sit. I know it's going to be a little weird and not accurate, but that's the best I can do for now. So here's kind of what I've got. Again, I want to make sure some of these bottom parts are light gray to replicate kind of the inside parts right there. And then the biggest thing is in the back, the speeder bikes seem to slope back, so I had to put some more slopes down on the back side. And one thing I wanted to do was this looked very, very plain, because that's what I had originally, was just this, and it was very plain, so I decided to add a modified brick and add kind of a wedge piece right there. And you can see I've done that on both sides now, and that kind of just adds a little more detail to it, covers up some of that unpleasant just filler on the inside, and I've put some tiles on there. So that's kind of the middle section right there. It's really not glorious at all by itself, but we're going to combine the two. We're going to combine the first section I showed you and this section, and we're going to see what it looks like. Alright guys, and here are the completed Republic speeder bikes. This is what I have come up with. I hope you guys like them. I am actually very happy with the design. There's a reason I was saving this episode until the end, is because I do not have very much confidence in terms of building vehicles, and I was really dreading this. But I was actually able to come up with a design that I think works fairly well. I know it's probably not the best, and I know there are other better speeder bike designs out there for sure. But I really wanted to come up with my own. Everything on the MOC, every single MOC I do, I want everything on there to be something that I have created. And again, due to some of the things I mentioned earlier in the episode, I had to take a lot into consideration before actually building these speeder bikes. So overall, I'm very happy with them. I think the size is good. They may be a little bit too big, but I don't mind, because the more pieces I can have on there, I think the better they look. The front looks good. I like the angles that they give off. The biggest complaint that I have that's going to be a big pain, as I was noticing when kind of setting up this shot right here, is I mentioned this a little bit about kind of how big the speeder bikes are and what sizes they need to be for different Lego like stud lengths. The clones are going to be hard to set up figure-wise just because of how far they have to reach to take out the assassin droids here. And due to the seat and kind of how I built the seat, it's going to be a little difficult to set up figures, but I think it's going to be something that I just need to practice on, and I'll be able to get it eventually. But yeah, here is what we are looking at. I'm really happy with the way they came out. Hopefully you guys like them. I know they definitely probably could be improved, and I might go back and I definitely will go back and implement some feedback, because I'm sure you guys have a ton of feedback and ideas to give me here in the comment section below. So I'll be reading through those, responding to you guys, and definitely fixing some of these things if I see anything that you guys have to say about it. And I think you guys are definitely going to have some things to say that I could improve on or add to the speeder bikes. And that's why I do this series, and why I love making these videos, is the interaction with you guys. And I know you guys are going to have some great ideas on how to improve these speeder bikes. But what I've got so far, I'm definitely very happy with, considering my skill length and prior building, experience with vehicles is very little. So I'm definitely happy with the way these turned out. So yeah, I had a lot of fun building these. Actually, this is a surprising episode for me. Just how much fun I had, how I was able to build these. Maybe they suck, I don't know, but I'm actually happy with the way they look. One thing, I've got 3 built so far. I'd like to build a lot more. but I don't know how many more I'm going to be able to build before I need to order some more pieces. So ideally, I'd love to have like 5 to 8 speeder bikes on each side. That would be great. Of course, I'd love to have like 20 on each side, but I don't think that's going to be doable due to resources and part availability and costs of that. It's just going to be too much money, but I would like to build a couple more. I think bare minimum, I'd like to have 5 versus 5 on the speeder bikes, but ideally I'd like to have 8 versus 8. I think that would be a great number for speeder bikes. So here is what they look like. I hope you guys enjoy them. Definitely, of course, I'm looking for feedback, so let me know that in the comment section below. And next episode, we'll be working on the Assassin Droid speeder bikes, or the Separatist ones. Those will be mostly a brown and black color scheme, maybe brown and gray. I have to look at, again, some screenshots, but those are going to be pretty exciting, and I can't wait till next episode where I'll be able to set up some epic shots and thumbnails with the 2 speeder bikes going head to head. So that's about it. Let's go ahead and move on to the outro. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you did enjoy. I had a ton of fun creating and designing these speeder bikes, but I'm definitely looking for feedback and things to improve on for these speeder bikes, just due to my lack of experience in building vehicles, but I am pretty happy with the way they came out. So I'm very excited for next week's episode, when I'm going to be able to complete the Separatist speeder bikes and have the 2 factions facing off in that epic Clone Wars 2003 style speeder bike chase. I'm really excited for it, so stay tuned for that. As always, leave your feedback in the comment section below. Hope you guys have a great day, and may the Force be with you always.